Hey guys, how's it going? It's me, Josh Halter, owner and founder of the Biodude. I got my little dude here today, Hercules, and he's getting moved to his permanent retirement home. I've been really excited for this video because everyone's been asking me to do an updated video on Hercules. I have a beautiful cages habitat in front of me. You guys saw us putting them together. This is an 8-foot habitat by 24 by 24. What I love about this is, again, the clear brace and with how easy it was to get all the lighting installed. I'm running an Arcadia 50-watt halogen bulb. That's what I'm starting with, hooked up to an Exoterra thermostat, 600 watt, with a dimmer and a night and day. I have his hotspot set to 108 degrees that you can see right down here. Up here, I have a Solar Grow 36-inch affixed with the cover, as well as an Arcadia 12% T5. Now with the solar meter, it was reading okay, but I'm gonna be taking other readings, especially down here. So I have to rebuild or move some things around, making sure that he's not getting too much of a Hive of Ferguson zone. And we'll be using a solar meter to check that. And then of course on top with 2 fans. We have one intake fan and one outtake fan. You guys notice that PVC habitats are so good at retaining humidity, so good at retaining temperature, so I want to make sure that his airflow is up to par, especially down here in Texas. So we got 2 really nice fans installed, blowing in, blowing out, so it creates a nice wind tunnel in here. I did forget to mention on this side, for his nighttime heating, we do have a ZoomEd 60-watt ceramic heat emitter. Now, I'm trying out a ceramic heat emitter. It does only emit infrared C, so it's not near as efficient with raising their internal body temperature, but I'm mainly going to be utilizing it when it gets cold here or when we have an instance. At the very back, you are going to notice this beautiful background. This background was provided to us from Universal Rock. You can visit Universal Rock's website, check them out on Facebook, on Instagram. They are doing some really cool stuff, guys, and this is nothing short from spectacular. We cut this down to size, got it mounted. My crew did a great job. But I just love how this looks, and I love everything about it. I don't know about you. I'm excited. I think this bum's excited. Let's get him back up here. All right, let's get building. So I just got done putting in all of the Terra Sahara substrate. I used roughly 5 36-quart bags of substrate, and just to give you a perspective how deep it is, it's pretty deep. So I'm liking the depth. Again, we're gonna play with this hotspot and play with the UVB and see how it goes. But next, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start putting in some inoculants and getting everything mixed together. I am putting a lot of isopods in here. So I'm gonna add a little bit of stuff to the soil, just straight calcium carbonate. This is my Soil Cal Plus. So what I'm gonna do is, just to help the plants, bugs get established a little bit, I'm just gonna dump a little bit of Soil Cal Plus in here. Okay. From there, I have my BioShot. So you guys are familiar with this product. You can get away with not using BioShot if you have a very healthy population of springtails and isopods. But the biggest thing that BioShot does is it provides fertilizer that is insect-based. There's no guano in it whatsoever, based off the exoskeletons of specific insects. It has a really good NPK rating, which is really important for your soil. So it really helps prevent plant shock. It's really important to make sure that you give your plants a high chance for success, because in a bioactive setup, they're just as important, right? So, you know, the BioShot does have mycorrhizae strains in it, which again are the strains of fungus that, you know, occur naturally in nature that help formulate symbiotic relationships with plant roots, which then helps drive the nitrogen cycle and other cycles in your bioactive habitat, which is exactly what happens in nature, and we're replicating nature. But having a healthy trifecta of beneficial fungus and bacteria, different types of cleanup crews, and essential biodegradables, it all plays a vital role with the long-term importance of your habitat, especially ones like this. Okay, So I got my BioShot and my Soil Cal Plus added. Next, what I'm gonna do is add in some biodegradables. All right, guys, so for the biodegradables today, I'm just showing you a quick tip. When you get them, fill a bucket or your sink up with warm water, put in your biodegradables, such as your palm bark or sycamore bark, and let it soak. I'm gonna let this soak about 4 hours. When I pull it out, it's gonna be really wet and have a lot more water density to it. And when you mix it in with your substrate, it really helps become a microbial hotspot for your beneficial cleanup crew, as well as some of the natural processes from the BioShot that will also work with forming those symbiotic relationships with your plants. Overall, it's just another way to make sure your soil stays healthy. So you guys saw I cut all these up. Great little microbial hotspots, man. And what I'm doing is just kind of getting all the pieces I want in there, and then I'm gonna mix everything together in like one swoop, so to speak. Biodegradables added. Next, this is the sphagnum moss. Now, depending on where you live, this step is different for every single person. The humidity of your house, the temperature of your house, the temperature of your habitat, the microclimate you're creating, all of it makes this function a little bit different. So I'm not gonna use a ton, but because I have the fans in here and because I want to maintain my humidity around specific types of plants I'm putting in here that are still suitable for Hercules, that I give them a little bit of more of a chance to do okay during the dry out periods that this tank will have from time to time. So it's not a bunch, but it's enough to get done what I need to get done. There is my first part of my biodegradables. So I got some leaf litter that I'm gonna be doing next. This is already boiled, then dried, straight from Colombia. And I got some magnolia leaves as well. So I do want more leaves in here to be mixed up with my current base. So boom. Okay, there we go. So when it comes to what I want to have in here mixed, all I'm gonna worry about next is my top layer. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start mixing everything together. So that way everything is nice and thoroughly mixed, so that way you can have different types of humidity gradients that are pocketed within the soil, different types of opportunity zones for your beneficial fungi and bacteria, while helping your desert soil aerate effectively, because that is one of the most important aspects. That's why we use the cover. That is one of the most important aspects of maintaining your bioactive habitat. It's that you are able to make sure that the different swings that happen in your enclosed terrarium and what you put inside your terrarium is in there forever, because it is a closed ecosystem. Sometimes you have to take somewhat different levels of approaches when you're dealing with dry microclimates like this in a terrarium setting. Okay, so whether you're using my substrate or your own that you make, there's a lot of great guides out there. You want to have a minimum of 4 inches of depth when you have a large habitat like this in arid, because you need to make sure that there is some layer within this substrate that moisture is obtainable. Not only for your root systems, but since this is a larger habitat, you're gonna use bigger plants. Bigger plants need more space for their roots to grow. So, it's one of those things that all plays a pivotal role with all aspects. All right, next side. Guys, masking tape, it is your best friend when building PVC enclosures. It is your best friend, because when dirt gets stuck in these crevices, sometimes it can be a daunting task to get it out. We're gonna continue mixing. So one thing you notice about this end is it's pretty dark. I don't like my habitats to be insanely bright throughout the whole thing, because reptiles typically have pretty good vision depending on what they are. So I like to make sure that when we're providing the light, there is a good disbursement of it, that A, the plants I'm putting in here will be able to grow, and B, it gives your critters some options to get away from the light if they really don't want anywhere near it. And then last but not least, the leaf litter. Now, you guys can see I put a lot of biodegradables in here. I am doing that because these isopods are going to be hungry and I do not want them eating my plants. So that's why we are taking the steps to make sure that we put a lot of different options in here for them. So first things first, I'm gonna work around the hot spot. So the first plant I'm gonna get is this Opuntia. And I already know where I'm gonna put it. I'm gonna put it right back here in the corner. Now, I don't wanna cover up this beautiful background from Universal Rock, and I really want this cage's habitat to pop. And, you know, in the way that I know it can. So I'm gonna make sure that the plants I'm planting and where I'm planting them, and I want them to last. And these guys are pretty resilient to heat. Got another Pontia right here. This is a large one. Now guys, these are great. I love planting healthy edibles in my bearded dragon habitat, and I'll tell you why. Because bearded dragons are omnivores, which means they like to eat insects and literally anything they can catch. So when you put things like here in here, they will naturally just eat them in their habitat. And what that provides is something called enrichment. One of the most important aspects of reptile keeping is providing your animals enrichment. 100%. And next, look at this bad boy. So this is a very special elephant feed that I got from a local nursery in Houston called Jimbo's Nursery. Highly recommend you guys check them out. They ended up putting this one aside, and boy, am I happy for my patients. This was grown with nothing but just mainly in the pretty basic medium, so it's really safe, and he is going to absolutely love this. And I'm actually going to be putting it right over here, right in the middle. So it's not directly under the UVB, but it's going to get enough light from the rest of the habitat. There's a lot of perlite in here, so I'm just being real careful because these guys have a pretty sensitive root base. So I'm really trying to make sure that I'm not bringing nasties in here while I'm not destroying this plant as well, because it is fairly delicate. Okay. This bad boy does have an extensive root system, and it's gonna need to get used to being in here, as well as making sure that it can handle the abuse that Hercules is gonna give it. So yeah, I'll probably put a little bit more Sahara here, a little bit. Okay, so next I have some ponytail palms. Now these are cool because they literally will grow in anything. They come from a bulb. Pretty awesome. Now, I don't want Hercules to be completely obscured when he's up here, but I also want him to feel comfortable. So I'm gonna put this one right here. Somewhat close to the hot spot, but not so terribly close. And these two, I'm actually gonna leave them together. I'm gonna put them right here in the very back. All the way down. Now I need a little bit of an area for him to be able to bask. So obviously we know his hot spot's right here, but what am I gonna provide him that gives him the ability to bask? Well, got a bunch of really good rocks. Got some rainbow stone, got some dragon stone, got some gobi stone. So what I'm gonna do is starting to create him a nice little mound here of rocks. And rocks with bearded dragons and their habitats are great for many reasons. Number one, when they get wet, they put minerals into your substrate, which is extremely beneficial for your cleanup crew. Number two, it will help by de-sharpening their nails. And when I say de-sharpening their nails, it helps naturally file them down. Actually, boom. Actually, this should go back a little bit further. There we go, right like that. Now he has the ability to bask right there. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my thermostat cord and I'm gonna take this rock and put it right under here like that. So now the cord still has access to the hot spot directly, which can register it up to 108 and then dim it. While these rocks are also gonna absorb some heat to a degree and help him thermoregulate more efficiently. All right, so I do like that a lot. I think that looks really, really awesome. I have another piece that I have been saving for some time. Now I was gonna use this as his basking piece, but truthfully, I want him to have rocks. My daughter loves to hold him and I want that trend to continue. So there's a couple things I'm gonna try. The biggest thing is I don't want to take away from this beautiful background. You know, I love how it looks. I think what we're gonna do, let me see how this is gonna fit here. Here. Okay. Now what I'm gonna do is start burying this a little bit. Yes. Now, it does somewhat hide the plant back here that the two bulbs I put back in, so I have a better idea. Boom. And then he can literally go up here or behind here to get right up to his other ledge right there. And then these bad boys can go right here. I'm gonna separate them out a little bit so they're not on top of each other. And then, yeah, I'm gonna put a little bit more soil in here just to top some things up around. Okay. And of course, I'll have to do a little bit of pruning. Next, some rosemary. Rosemary does very, 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 very good in these habitats. You just have to water them. You have to water this plant every single day if you want it to survive. And you can see this has already started dimming, which means this has already hit 108 degrees for his hot spot, which is great. Great news, or it should be reaching 108. Okay, I'm gonna put that piece of rosemary right there. And then I got another piece of rosemary here. And now these guys, rosemary does need a moderate amount of light. So I'm just gonna put this rosemary right here. Okay. And then just for my pew, got a couple rocks that I want to throw in here. Give the rosemary something to clasp onto. Yeah. Okay. Now we gotta work on the other side. Okay guys, so I'm working on the other side. First things first. So now this end is a little darker, and I really need to account for what plants can survive in these darker areas while still being safe for him. And at nighttime, this is where his ceramic heat emitter is going to be. So if he still wants to be hot, he can come over here and warm up a little bit. I'm also going to put a little den that he can crawl into here in the corner. So the extra substrate I needed, what I'm going to do is push it over to this side, right here. Here we go. And I'm going to put this like here like this. And then he can go all the way down in there if he desires. And then right outside of it, we're gonna do the exact same thing. We're gonna create a very shallow area that isn't too close to the bulb, but it's gonna create a little bit of a nighttime hotspot if, for some reason at all, he wants to come out and just kind of chill for a little bit. Okay, like that. Next, I got these cool skulls. It's been a lot of fun manufacturing different things. Got a lot of new stuff in the works for y'all. Excited to launch it soon. Rawr. Okay, so for me, it just looks really awesome if this is gonna be like that. And then this right here, like this. And then I got another plant. Doesn't need a ton of light. Pretty cool, right? It's a really awesome aloe. This is an aloe humulus. Forgive me if I didn't pronounce it perfectly, okay? And this aloe, I'm actually gonna put it right here, right by the dinosaur skull. And we're gonna see how this does. And again, I'm gonna be doing a little bit more monitoring of the humidity. Might try a little bit more mist cycles, other things like that to see what works best, given the plants and how many there are in here. And again, I just want him to be happy and enjoy his digs. And last but not least, got another cactus. Boom. All right, we're gonna put this right here. Patch it down. Patch it down. Yep. And I have an idea here for that. Just gonna Here's his feeding bowl. This is our large Terra bowl. Pretty good. Good size. So that's gonna be right here. So it's really easy for my daughter to change and get his stuff. And then this is an Exoterra large bowl. And that's gonna go right here in the front. Perfect. Now, a little trick that I learned a bit ago. You take a piece of cork like this, and then you put it here in the water bowl like this. Crickets won't drown, roaches won't drown, cleanup crews will drown a little bit, but not as much in excess. Now, I'm gonna back up, I'm gonna look at everything. I dig this. It's pretty dark on this side, but again, I like that. I do like that it's darker on this side. Okay, all right guys, so I got another product I've been wanting to try. And I've used it a couple times. It's the Exoterra Stone Desert. And I'm gonna use this as a little bit of an accent piece in the more arid portion of the habitat to assist with humidity retention at the hot spot. But here's the thing I wanna show you guys. These big clumps here, okay, these are rocks. If you do not know your bearded dragon's eating habits, eating substrate X, Y, and Z, just make sure that you are aware when you use products like this, you know, sometimes not so good stuff happens. But because I know Hercules and I've been keeping him for so long, I am just fine. And I've been wanting to try this with the isopods too, to see how much they like it. What I'm gonna do is just kind of thoroughly just give it a little bit of a texture. There we go. But again, once this stuff gets wet too, it'll break it down a little bit more. Next is the fun stuff, the cleanup crew. And a tank this size, you need a lot of bugs. So we're gonna be starting with a party mix of isopods. These are blues, oranges, whites, a mixture of all of them. Pretty cool. And you need to make sure that you provide them enough food to eat. And that comes in the form of the biodegradables. So we'll go over it one last time. So the substrate, the bioactive substrate needs to drain efficiently as well as aerate efficiently to provide opportunity zones for your cleanup crew. The leaf litter essentially breaks down over time by these microorganisms and microbiological functions to help rejuvenate the soil long term. And that's how the bioactive comes through. It's really important you do your research on what type of mixes you're using, because the wrong type of mixes can have detrimental effects to your animal's life, because it is a closed ecosystem. And it's very important that we recognize that. Here you go, dude. Here. No? Okay. Okay, so looking at all of this though, now that we got the isopods in, we just need to make sure we always have biomass in here. The next is our springtails. Okay, and for the springs, we just like that. And then what I'm gonna do is the area that I just put all those critters in, I'm gonna put a little sphagnum moss right on top of it. And then I'm gonna put a little bit of substrate on top of it, just so that way they actually have a shot. All right guys, so what I'm doing, every plant that I just put in here, I'm giving it a watering, every single one. And then I'm gonna be looking for the signs of dehydration. Dehydration, it's gonna look very crisp and they're gonna be looking burned. However, if it's the opposite and they're getting too much water, if it's a succulent, the skin of the succulent will turn wrinkly. And when it starts looking like that, that means it's too wet and they are going to rot. That is the problem. Like this elephant feed, this thing's gonna go through some serious shock because I just uprooted it and put it into the thing. So I'm gonna make sure that I do my due diligence. All right guys, so we just got Hercules in here and we just got it done. I really like it. I love the space. I love the difference in color. It goes from the heat area to the UVB with the plant light going across, and then while light is still reaching over here, it just gets pretty dim. And that's what I wanted this whole time. It is a bigger habitat, but I wanted to give him areas to be able to move around. I love this elephant feed. It's gonna take some work. I'll be happy to update you guys on it as we go. But every single plant in this habitat, he can eat. Every single one. These rosemary, I'm gonna have to water them probably every day for the first 3 to 4 weeks to let them get acclimated if he doesn't pick them down to the stem first. And I'm really happy to see how all this is going in the form of temperatures increasing. But guys, I really have to thank Kages. Make sure you guys check out our bioactive line of cages. We have them on our website, and we're continually working with them to make improvements and to make them really competitive out with what's out there. Really got to thank Universal Rock for this amazing background. I really like how it really accentuates everything and how it just really makes all the stuff at the front pop. And honestly, I hope Hercules really enjoys his retirement home, because this is it. But I really appreciate you guys. Please make sure you visit my website, thebiodegradables.com. Check us on all the socials. I really appreciate everybody's support. It's been a great year so far, so thank you guys so much. Thank you for watching, and make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Frenchman.